Hello, my name is Idalia Migdaliva, and in this video essay I am going to be talking about my personal reflection for the first period from 5 weeks of the subject of intercultural leadership. Regarding topics like culture, self-awareness, multiculturalism, and globalization, as well as the challenges and opportunities it arise from living in such a globalized and multicultural world. But first of all, what is culture?
Culture can be defined as the set of features of the society or social group that encompasses not only art and literature, but lifestyles, way of living together, value systems, traditions, and beliefs.
Culture can be also compared to a pair of glasses to help you see the world.
And also can be compared as an iceberg, where the more obvious characteristics are on top, like food, language, and music. And the more you look downwards, the more implicit the characteristic gets, like norms and values and basic assumptions.
This can also be linked to self-awareness. But what is self-awareness and how is it linked to multiculturalism? Self-awareness refers to how deep you know and understand yourself, and is very important and very related to multiculturalism because the better we know ourselves, the better we can know and understand other people and cultures.
The identity of a person can depend on the context, experiences, cultural elements, family, education, friends, etc.
And identity can also change over time, even more if it is influenced by globalization. This capacity of understanding and adapting to different cultures can be defined as culture intelligence. It's having the capacity of understanding the different cultural dimensions like indulgence, masculinity and femininity, collectivism and individualism, long-term and short-term, and uncertainty avoidance. For example, here in Mexico, I consider that we are more a type of collectivism society because we like being around other people, we emphasize and prioritize the family and the close people near us. Another terms that are important to consider to understand our interactions on a globalized society are cross-culturalism is when we compare one culture to another, one country or society to another. For example, in our class or intercultural leadership, we like to talk to foreign students to compare the differences between their countries to our country that is Mexico. For example, I have a friend that is German and would like to compare the climate or how the family is structured over there, the perspective they have about certain topics, the things that they prioritize, how is the educational system, and etc. Multiculturalism promotes the existence of diverse cultures, many different cultures, in the same place. For example, when I visited New York, I could see the combination of many different cultures in one city. That is why the United States is such a diverse country, because it has people coming from all over the world to connect and live in the same place. Transculturalism states that cultures are not fixed entities, but it can evolve through time and through the interactions it had with other cultures. For example, in Mexico, lately we have a more feminist or open-minded perspective of certain topics. There is not that traditional majority of way of thinking. So that is a clear example of how society evolves and changes their mindset and perspective throughout the years. Finally, interculturalism promotes that cultures can exchange different ideas or words or fashions or trends. For example, I used to live in the border between the United States and Mexico, specifically in Piedras Negras, Coahuila, that is next to Eagle Pass, Texas, and I could see very clearly how those two cultures mixed so equally. It was very interesting to see how people talked in Spanish, that is a combination between English and Spanish, and people from the American side and people from the Mexican side had like the same trends, the same places to go, the same popular songs, the same modisms, etc. After reviewing all of these concepts and examples, it just proves more the importance of having a cultural intelligence and a world self-awareness, so you can have the opportunity to expand your perspective by knowing and learning about different cultures. For example, in my high school, I had a friend that was Korean but was living in Mexico. So one day I went to her house, and before getting in the house, she took her shoes off and leave it like in an assigned place. So when I was there, I was very stressed because I didn't know what to do. She told me, "No, you don't have to do it. Like, if you don't feel comfortable, you're not obligated to do it because you are visiting us and that." But I thought, no, I had to respect their traditions, and I wanted to feel comfortable with me visiting her house. So I also took my shoes off. In conclusion, culture is a set of features that identify a certain society. It's how that group of people perceive and interact with the rest of the world.
And living in this globalized world with a lot of different cultures, it's very important to have self-awareness of your own person and culture in order to understand another culture, as well as having a good cultural intelligence to know how to abroad and adapt to a different society and context. Cross-culturalism, multiculturalism, transculturalism, and interculturalism are some of the principal ways in which we can see how different cultures interact with each other, and how their cultural dimension evolved through the years and thanks to the influence of other cultures. Understanding this will help us to have a more respectful world in which the cultural differences are seen as an opportunity. Even though it can be very challenging to understand a different culture than yours, the benefits of knowing many different cultures are way bigger than the difficulties.